What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and as you can see, the recovery efforts have been somewhat successful, and earlier today they were bringing to shore huge pieces of this imploded Titan sub made by OceanGate that imploded when they were on this dive down to the Titanic. Now, one thing I will say is that I was not expecting them to recover such big pieces of this craft. I was under the impression that this craft would have been, imploded and splintered into tiny little pieces. So I think it's kind of odd that they're recovering these huge chunks of the craft. I'm no expert, just the way that they explained things, the way that the experts explained things over the past week or so, they explained things in a way that made me believe that there wouldn't be much of this craft left. So seeing that they're bringing up chunks, like half of the craft at a time, I'm sitting here like, okay, maybe these catastrophic implosions aren't what they're cracked up to be. Don't get me wrong, it's bad. I don't want to catastrophically implode, you know what I mean? But I was just under the impression that a catastrophic implosion would have done way more damage to this sub than what it apparently did. So I find that kind of odd. The only other gripe I have here is, for one, well, maybe it's a couple of gripes. For one, I don't think it's necessary for them to go down there and get pieces of this craft. I really don't. I think they should have left it down there with the wreckage of the Titanic. I honestly think that some of the people on board probably would have appreciated that. They seemed to be dedicated to researching the Titanic and things of that nature. So having your ship, the remains of your ship right next to the remains of the Titanic, the wreckage of the Titanic, I think that would be kind of historical. And in a weird way, kind of cool. Like you kind of get, etched into the history books that way. But yeah, they're going down there and they're getting all of the pieces of this craft. And another thing that sticks out to me is this. Early on in this story, when we were all thinking that these people could be alive, stuck at the bottom of the ocean, it really seemed like they were dragging their feet on getting equipment out into the area. And we went over tons of reports. We watched news clips and everything. They were acting as if, I don't know. I don't know if we'll be able to recover that craft. I don't know if we'll be able to dive down there. It's dangerous. We may never get the pieces of this craft. But now all of a sudden, now that we know everyone's dead, they're really gung-ho about getting this craft. It's like when we were sitting there watching the hours tick by, when we thought these people were still alive at the bottom of the ocean, they were dragging their feet and basically saying, it's impossible. There's no way we could get them. I doubt there's any way we're going to be able to recover this craft. And now that they know that it imploded and everyone's dead, it's like, yeah, sure, we're going to get the craft. Here's a piece. Here's a piece. There's a piece. There's no problem with the equipment. Yeah, I don't know if we would have been able to save their lives. But now that they're dead, of course we can get this stuff. That's what this kind of feels like to me. Because, trust me, I was all over this story 24/7, looking into it. I watched all of the different news clippings. I saw dozens of different experts speak. And while we were sitting here thinking that these people may be alive, they were being really pessimistic about the possibilities of recovering the craft or even recovering pieces of the craft if it did implode. Now that we know it imploded, we know everyone's dead. Now it's like, sure, it's easy. Here's a piece of the craft. Here's half of the craft. Oh yeah, here's this part of the OceanGate craft. And I'm just like, wait, y'all acted like this was next to impossible when they were alive, but now they're dead. You're just with ease. Just, here's a piece for you. It's like Oprah. You get a piece of the Titanic sub. You get a piece of the OceanGate sub. Everyone's getting OceanGate sub pieces. It's just a whole different attitude than what was displayed when we thought that these people could be alive. So I find that weird. It's like their energy to find the living people at the bottom of the ocean was non-existent, but the energy to recover pieces of the craft to figure out what went wrong when we already know what went wrong, it seems like they're really more, up and at 'em about that. You know what I mean? Weird. But anyways, like I said, I think it's pointless that they went and recovered this craft. They spent countless amounts of money doing this, and all to figure out what went wrong when we've had the experts telling us what went wrong for the last week. The Navy knows what went wrong since day one. The thing imploded. Why did it implode? Because the hull was made of carbon fiber, a material that was not supposed to be used. The window was not regulated to go down as deep as they went. We already know the problems, but of course, they got to look into it. They got to investigate. But I want you to pay attention to how our government operates. They need to investigate what went wrong with the Titanic sub. But they don't need to investigate who's on Epstein's flight list. No. We don't know. We don't need to know what government elites are out here meddling with kids and slaves and you name it. We don't want to know who's on Epstein's island, who rode that plane. Who cares? We're not going to spend money investigating that. But we're going to spend countless of your taxpayer dollars trying to figure out what went wrong with this sub. That everyone already knows what went wrong with the damn sub. But apparently, they're going to try to get all of the little pieces off the bottom of the ocean. Mind you, they acted like that was impossible a few days ago when it was a possibility that these people were alive. But now, it's a walk in the park. It's a slice of cake. We're going to get every little minuscule piece of this ship and we're going to put it back together. I kid you not. That's the plan. Rebuilding the Titan. Investigators could put mangled debris of sub back together to pinpoint the weak spot, experts say, as they are left mystified. Parts were not eviscerated by implosion 12,500 feet under the Atlantic. Several identifiable sections of the Titan were lifted ashore on Wednesday, including the sub's nose and a large panel which appears to be from its tail end. The size of some of the parts surprised experts who believed the entire vessel could have been crushed into tiny pieces in the incident. Investigators probing the Titan tragedy could reassemble sections of the vessel, which have been recovered from the sea floor, to pinpoint the weaknesses that caused it to implode. Several identifiable parts were lifted ashore on Wednesday afternoon, including the sub's nose and a large panel which appears to be from its tail end. The discovery surprised experts who suspected the Titan was destroyed when it suffered a catastrophic implosion with 5 people on board during a journey to the wreckage of the Titanic. It is thought that the craft's titanium components better withstood the disaster, while the weaker carbon fiber parts, including the hull, are more likely to have been crushed into tiny pieces. Tom Maddox, CEO at Underwater Investigators, says that many of us suspected that in the case of this catastrophic failure, this implosion, that a lot of the parts would be disintegrated, particularly the non-titanium parts, which of course would make the investigation a lot harder to do. He said finding the larger pieces means we have more pieces of the puzzle to put together. They'll put it back as best they can, he said. I don't think there's a rule book for this, There's no manual. This is something new, and they're going to have to kind of write the book as they go along, would be my thought. But they'll use their past experiences and their knowledge to do that. Other fragments lifted from the ocean today reveal wiring and cables and appear to show some of Titan's other internal systems. Experts who warned about Titan's safety before the crash said its carbon fiber hull, which housed the 5 crew, was its Achilles heel because the material is not considered suitable for dives at the depths reached by the vessel. So like I said, and the experts agree, it's really weird that they recovered such large parts of this craft. I'm kind of almost dumbfounded looking at the parts of this craft that they lifted off of that ship, because everything that I've learned about catastrophic implosions, mind you, everything I've learned has been in the last week or so. I'm not sitting here saying I'm an expert, but I've been listening to the experts. And when I see them pull out these big chunks, I'm sitting here like, okay. So this catastrophic implosion didn't go the way y'all said it did. And listen, there's a lot of people out there, I'm not one of them, there's a lot of people out there that don't believe this story is real. A lot of people think that the billionaires on board this sub are sitting on an island somewhere, sipping daiquiris, laughing at this news story. Mind you, I don't think that's the case, but when people got these theories and they see these big parts of the craft getting pulled out, it kind of reminds me of on 9/11, how somehow, some way, even though the Twin Towers collapsed and the planes that flew into the towers exploded, somehow they found intact passports from the terrorists who hijacked the planes. That's what this reminds me of. How they're pulling up these big pieces of the craft. See, everyone? It's real. The Ocean Gate sub is real. It really imploded. But why are y'all recovering such big pieces of this sub? It's really weird to me. And, you know, I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert. But I guess this does go to show that maybe the experts don't necessarily know what they're talking about. Because from everything I've been reading into, from everything I've seen, this sub should be in pieces. And I don't mean large pieces. I mean pieces the size of my pinky ring. This thing should have been disintegrated. This thing should be little speckles of a sub on the sea floor. But that's not the case. So maybe the sub was stronger than we think. Maybe catastrophic implosions aren't as catastrophic as they say. I don't know, but they're definitely pulling up big pieces of this craft. You make of it what you will. I don't think that this is one big fake story like some people do. I just find it odd that all of the experts were wrong. And even today, the experts are dumbfounded. The experts are sitting there speechless like, damn, how are they bringing up these big pieces of the sub? This sub was supposed to be eviscerated, almost completely wiped out of existence. But that is not the case. And like I was saying at the beginning of this video, I just find it odd that they were acting like this would be an impossible task while we were sitting here counting down the amounts of oxygen, the amount of hours of oxygen these 5 people had left. But now that everyone knows that it imploded, they're kind of just going down there with ease and just plucking up pieces of this sub from the bottom of the ocean. You know what I mean? So, hey, it is what it is. I guess I'm glad they found some parts. I don't know if this is going to bring anyone closure. I think they should have left them at the bottom of the ocean. They're going to spend millions of dollars conducting their tests to figure out what went wrong when we already know what went wrong. We've known for days on end. But hey, it is what it is. It goes to show that, you know, the powers that be and just the world in general, they are willing to investigate things that don't need to be investigated, but the things that do need to be investigated, they try to shy away from and turn a blind eye towards. Let me know your thoughts about this, though, down in the comments. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll be talking to you all in the next video.